Well, Mike, this is a bit of a homecoming for you, isn't it? You started your career in the race industry down here.
Yeah. First time in a go-kart was just out the road, and you certainly learnt all my formative racing skills here. So fond memories, and it's nice to be back for a holiday.
Did you go on to race other classes?
No, I only did karting, and then went on to university, and went to University of Otago, and then Canterbury, did an engineering degree there. And then all the motorsport series, engineering in New Zealand, really, Formula Toyota and New Zealand touring cars and Trans Am racing. Did a bit of Trans Am racing in Australia and America, and then from there, took the leap to give it a go in England.
It can't have been an easy transition, a lot of competition for places. What do you think stood out for those looking for talent that attracted them to you?
Yeah, it's a good question, I guess. Hard to know. I guess a good background. The karting and actual racing gave you the kind of understanding of what the driver's trying to do and the principles of motorsport, before it all gets really complicated. And I guess I was lucky to choose a core engineering degree. That gives you the base skills to choose different fields in motorsport, whether it's design or I ended up in the racing side with strategy. But and I guess New Zealanders are highly regarded overseas because we have a good history in motorsport and we're willing to give most things a go. But then you've got to have some luck and opportunities.
So what class of racing were you first involved with in Europe?
In Europe was in Le Mans racing, so in the 24-hour and the 6-hour races with the Le Mans prototype cars. And that was a great introduction, quite a different way of racing. We learn over here you sprint racing and short 20-minute type things, and it was a bit of a shock to the system to race for 6 hours, and if it's not going so well you feel like packing it in, but there's always opportunity, and it teaches you to keep looking for what you can make out of it. And I guess that's how I moved into strategy, really. You couldn't do a lot of race engineering when the car's running around for 6 hours. You had to choose something else.
So this role as a strategist, you really, rather than hands-on, you're assessing performance and design changes. Is that a fair reflection of what you do?
That's right. You're trying to optimise your team or your driver's performance based around what you think all your competitors are doing, and any opportunity that the competitors create for you by whatever decisions they make, you're trying to maximise your opportunities for your drivers, whether that being more aggressive on pit strategy or tyre sequences or even running what we call like an opposite strategy and looking for gains later in the race. It's really just trying to read the situation and utilise, I guess, the strengths that you have, whether that's in consistency or speed or short stint pace. You just analyse all those variables and react, hopefully, in the right way during the race.
I think the average driver is always in awe of the tyre changing sequence in motor racing. Wish that you could do this with your home car. It is such a critical part of it, isn't it? A second or two can make a huge difference.
Yeah, I've ended up getting involved in the kind of the management and the technical kind of development of the pit side of it, because it reflects on my decision. So if your pit crew is very quick and I'm making a decision to pit and we can jump a car, then it looks good for me. So the guys are impressive. I mean, we do sub 2.5 second pit stops, and it really is impressive. And occasionally they give the engineers a go, and then you really see how difficult it is when they put you on a wheel gun and they make you look quite silly. So it is a challenge, and there's a lot of pressure on them, and they do very well.
In that sort of time, that would just be a tyre change, would it? Or would it be a fuel stop as well?
Oh yeah, so we've obviously moved away from fuelling now, so it is just tyres. When we were refuelling, typically it would be 6 to 8 seconds, and I guess that took the pressure.
Forever.
Yeah, that meant the tyre guys were there in that phase was just about minimising errors, so the fuel was always slowest, and when we got rid of refuelling, it put a lot more pressure on them, and times have tumbled. I mean, when we first got rid of refuelling, pit stop times would have been in the mid to high 3 seconds, and now I think the record is just under 2 seconds for a stationary time. So
just to put that in perspective, that's changing all 4 tyres, but with one wheel nut, isn't it? One nut.
Yep. Yeah. So you have 3 guys in each corner of the car. and each guy has a specific task. One's to take the wheel nut on and off, one's to take the tyre off, and one's to put the new one on, and then a front and rear jackman. And they can, in a perfect sequence, I think the Red Bull's got the record at just under 2 seconds.
There's nowhere else to go, is there?
Not really. It's diminishing returns, and I think this year in the Formula One there was more of a priority placed on minimising errors. So times have crept up a little bit, but hoping that you don't send it out with 3 wheels, as has been done on occasion, because that's far more impact. So.
Or run over the jackman or something.
Exactly. It's not. I don't think I'd want to be in front of the car when they're pulling in there.
All right, just go back to how you actually start with Le Mans, about how you actually got into Formula One in the first place. Was that a talent spotter, or did you go knocking on some doors?
I guess just good timing. So Le Mans had taught me, strategy, and Formula One was heading into a phase where strategic decision making was perhaps more important, or became perhaps more recognised. And we'd finished the season in Le Mans, and I'd sent the CV away to a few teams, and was actually back here on holiday in New Zealand, and got a phone call to come in for an interview when I returned, and was fortunate enough to get that job with Williams. So that set me on the path, and it's become, with the way Formula One's developed over the years, particularly with the Pirelli tyres being more variable, strategy is a key aspect now, so it's good for me.
And the team you're with just at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm with Force India Formula One team. So started its origins as the Jordan team. Drivers this year were Nico Hulkenberg and Sergio Perez. And generally, a smaller budget team, midfield budget team, but they perform very well compared to the factory teams. And it's actually a very good environment to work. They're smaller, so you're involved in more of it. And we're lucky to have a very good driver lineup. And my job being at the trackside, it's nice to have good drivers to work with. So,
great way to see the world, because it travels everywhere, this Formula One.
Yeah, it does put a few stamps in the passport. So it's nice. Doing new races is particularly good. Get to go somewhere new. Sometimes when you've been to the same place, the same airport over and over each year, perhaps the curiosity, the novelty's not there. But no, it is very good, and something, an opportunity that you wouldn't get with most jobs.
Yeah, I know it's glamorous for the drivers, but what about that guy standing on the side giving them some advice? Is there a bit of spillover joy for you?
Oh, you certainly got to learn to take the highs when they're there, because there's a lot of work in between, and not necessarily the podiums to celebrate as often as you would want. But I think that's something that you learn. You certainly need to take the good bits out of it. And it's a complicated sport, and you can do a very good job, but someone else can just do slightly better. So. But I think the drivers are very good at sharing and bringing the team in. They're the motivator of the team, and they make sure that they celebrate with the team. So, yeah.
How much is the driver? How much is the car? Because Hamilton dominates, but is he the best driver? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the drivers are always highly rated on their year, depending on their success, and as you say, it's intrinsically linked to the car. I think the good drivers always end up in the good car. So over the course of the career, you can judge a driver. But I think from one year to the next, it's very difficult to say, he's had a good year. I guess the normal yardstick is how he does to his teammates. So there can be a lot of inter-team rivalry as they want to, beat each other and try to ensure that they end up in the good car. I think it's a difficult question. I think last year, Nico Hulkenberg had a very good year, started the year really strongly. Sergio was new to our team, and he took a while to come into it, but he had the podium for the team. He come on very strong towards the end of the year, so we're fortunate to have two strong guys, and they really push each other. So, but across teams, very difficult to say.
Do they like each other? There has been a little inter-rivalry between team members and other teams.
Yeah, so Mercedes had the challenge in 2014, didn't they? I think it can be quite difficult to manage that, and actually strategically it can be a challenge because you only have one pit crew. Both drivers want to beat each other, but the team has to prioritise its interest, and sometimes that doesn't work with an individual driver's interest. So that can be a real hurdle.